Good afternoon. Happy Taco Tuesday to everybody. It has been quite an ugly day with the CPI coming in hotter than normal. This is Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. So the CPI was expected to come in at 0.2%, came in at 0.3%. It was expected to go under 3% for the year, and it came in at 3.1%. So it was kind of an ugly beginning this morning, but let me just share the screen and show you where things currently stand. My screen isn't coming up. I guess it was too shy with all the red on it. Let me just go back and now share it. And there you can see, it looks like Valentine's Day, a bunch of roses. That's not what you want to see on your stock chart. So there's some spots of green in here, but not much. Eli Lilly is up slightly. So we got a reset on kind of our averages. So that is the story so far. If you don't want to wake up with that sort of thing, you can always have your money in an annuity. Let me just show you that screen here. Here's a look at an annuity. You don't have to worry about the market going down with an annuity. This type of an annuity, you never lose money, and goes up a step, stays on that step, goes up another step. And on average, it beats the index investing by about 5%. So if you want to learn more about that, please contact me. And you might ask yourself, how does it do that? Well, a lot of them give you a bonus on any new money coming in, and that along with the interest rates that credit to your account, that's how it beats the average index investing. So let's keep the show rolling. Let's go to our charts. This is Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a little bit of a pullback today, but it's like a lot of strong stocks we've been looking at this morning. It has powered up and it's on its high. Let's first take a look at the US dollar. Dollar gaps up and it's on its high. So that can't mean too much good for gold. Gold is gapping down and it's on its low, down 1.4%. Silver had been going against the market, and now today it drops down. So interest rates, I'm sure, are going to be going up. Let's just take a quick look at our copper. Arrow copper is down strong on its low. Southern copper gapping down on its low. Freeport McMoran gapping down on its low. I think I hear a similarity here. We got a slight gap down and on its low on Vale. Rio gapping down on its low. And finally BHP in Australia gapping down below the 200-day and on its low. The yields, 10-year yield didn't gap up, but it is moving strong. It almost looks like a rocket ship ready to go to the moon. I said that this looked like a cup with a handle formation, or a little bit of a pullback, and then it shoots up here, and this is where it breaks out. A little bit of a pullback, and it continues its move. So 4.31, and on the 20-year yields, it's up 3.28%. It's up to 3.47% interest. VIX has hit, looks like it's pretty much hit our targets. Yep, the high was 1603, and we said it was going to get like 1580, 85, I believe. And so the VIX has hit our targets. S&P 500. Yeah, pretty strong gap down, pulls back to the 20-day moving average, down nearly 2%. RSP gapping down close to its 50-day moving average, down 2.3%. NASDAQ is down, gapping down, pulls back to the 20-day, down a little over 2%. The equal weight NASDAQ not sure why it's not popping up here. It's being a little shy here. Here we finally pop up. It's down 2.29%, slightly under its 20-day moving average. We'll look at the Dow Jones first before the small caps. Dow Jones down 1.89% below its 20-day moving average. See if it gets to the 50-day. And finally, IWM, which was just torched today. Look at it, broke through the 200 yesterday, and it is gapping down big time on its low, down 4.4%. So that's what a CPI will do for you. There was very few positives. Just kind of me actually go to the news right now. There was a lot of earnings before the bell. I wish I had known. I guess I got to look closer at that. I would have closed Shopify and Datadog yesterday if I would have known they were before the news. But Senate passes $95.3 billion Ukraine Israel aid package, and I believe the House of Representatives are threatening to not pass it. So we'll see where all that goes. January small business optimism falls to 89.9, below estimate of 92.3. On to sector news breakdown. Goodyear Tire. Quarter 4 revenues 5.12 billion versus 5.39, and we got a big gap down on that, and probably a little bit of pressure from the hot CPI report. Hasbro Q4 adjusted EPS 38 cents versus 66 cents. Would have expected a bigger gap down than that, but negative 71% and a 78% negative earnings surprise. JetBlue is moving today. I guess activist investor Carl Icahn reports a 9.91 stake in JetBlue, and I think they got a new CEO. I was reading somewhere. Massive volume, gap up 20% today on a pretty bad day in the street. 2U reports Q4 EPS 48 cents versus 64 cents, down 57%. That you would expect with that big a miss. Service Corp, which is a funeral operator, they're up 1.26%. Q4 adjusted EPS 93 cents versus 91 cents. TripAdvisor, which is up massively today, announced the formation of a special committee comprised of independent directors of the board of directors of TripAdvisor to evaluate any proposals that might be brought forward for potential transaction that may arise in the future because of the recent Liberty Trip Holdings disclosure of its intent to evaluate potential alternatives involving Liberty Trip and TripAdvisor. A big gap up. It was up higher earlier. It's up 13.7%. Earnings are on 1 day. Let's take a look at, see if Liberty TripAdvisor comes up. It does. And it is up 36%. Earnings are in 3 days. So back to energy, industrials, and materials. Aspen, aerogels, up big today. Q4 loss of 1 cent versus estimate loss of 12 cents. Big difference there, and it's a positive one, up 14.3%. Avis, car rental, Q4 adjusted EBITDA, EBITDA, earnings before income tax depreciation, is 311 million versus estimate of 329.1 million, and we got a big gap down on that, 23% on a huge miss. Gates International announces offering of 17.5 ordinary shares for holders, and we got a sell-off on that. Amazing it's not worse than it is on a bad day in the street. I had their earnings yesterday. They were up, and now they're down just slightly on that secondary offering for dilution for current holders. Trinseo PLC, Q4 EPS loss, $2.99 versus estimate of $1.33. You would think it would be up some, but it is off 0.6. No, I guess it didn't come up. Let's see if we can pull that up. There we go. It is off 20%. Oh yes, they doubled their, that is why it's down. I misread that. $2.99 loss versus $1.33 loss. And Safe Bulkers, Q4 adjusted EPS, 25 cents versus 17 cents, and it's moving up a little over 2% today on the financials. Alliance Bernstein said preliminary assets under management increased to 726 billion during January from 725 billion at the end of December. And it's selling off on that news, off about 2%. AX announces $100 million share buyback. Ordinarily, this would be greeted with cheers, but it's pulling back. Bright Host Financial, Q4 adjusted EPS $2.92 versus $3.69, and a big gap down, off over 14%. Brixmor Property, Q4 NAREIT, FFO a share, 51 cents versus 50 cents. Initially sold off strong and fighting back like a lot of others in the market. Principal Financial Group, Q4 adjusted EPS $1.83 versus $1.69. Initially moved higher on this news and then sold off strong towards afternoon. It's not quite the close yet. Invesco Limited preliminary month-end assets under management of $1,583.9 million, a decrease of 0.1% from the previous month end. And they are selling off pretty strong, down 8.22%. Victory Capital, Preliminary assets under management, 165.5 billion as of January 31st versus 166.6 billion, and they sell off strong as well on that news that they're lower than last month. Virtus Investment Partners, preliminary assets under management, 171.1 billion. And they're selling off as well. It doesn't really say how much they had last month. On to healthcare. G1 Therapeutics shares fall after saying late cancer therapy in combination with chemotherapy failed to prolong their survival of patients with aggressive form of breast cancer. Big gap down 53%. Carvista said it's oral on-demand treatment for the swelling attacks commonly experienced by patients with genetic conditions. Achieved the goals of the phase 3 clinical trial. Initially sold off, and it is fighting to get back where it started from. And MedPace holding, huge move today. Quarter 4 EPS $2.46 versus estimate $2.22 as revenue rose. Technology, media, and telecom, ANET, a big sell-off today. They beat their estimates. Quarter 4 EPS $2.08 versus $1.70 on revenues of 1.54 versus estimate 1.532. Guides quarter 1 revenues 1.52 to 1.56 versus estimate of 1.529. Adjusted gross margin 62%. So people were expecting more. We'll just see how it plays out in the next couple of days. It's down 5.83%. Blackbaud or Bluebird off slightly 2.15%. Quarter 4 I typed in the wrong ticker. I apologize. Blackbaud gaps down strong, nearly 14%. Earnings came in at $1.14 versus $1.05. Quarter 4 revenues 295 versus 299. That's where they kind of missed. And they guided below consensus, $4.12 versus $4.57. I guess that's where they got hurt. Cadence Design Systems, adjusted EPS $1.38 versus $1.33. And they're gapping down. They guide revenues 990 million versus 1.01 billion. So they guided lower, and that's where they got hurt. Lattice Semiconductor is up about 0.45%. Quarter 4 adjusted EPS 45 cents versus 44 on revenues of 170.6 million versus 176.1. And they guide lower. Amazing that this one goes up when they guided lower than the estimates. Teradata Corporation's quarter 4 adjusted EPS 56 cents versus 51 cents. Wow, they really sold off on revenues of 457 million versus 456.34. See what their guidance was. Yeah, 89 million versus 79.31. I guess is the guidance really hurt them, and they're off 23%. And finally, it's Zoom Info. They're a winner today, it looks like. Yep, they're moving up about 14%. EPS 26 cents versus 25 cents. Revenues 316.4 million versus 310 million. They have a revenue range. They guide full year 24 to 99 cents to $1.01 versus 99 cents even. So that is why they're moving up. And that is the story today. We'll take a look at TripAdvisor. There's only two companies that are up at least 5, I guess a 3% with 50% increase in volume. TripAdvisor, you saw in the news. Palmet Aerospace is breaking out. Earnings came in at 39% increase. Aerospace, I guess, has been doing pretty well. Bicycle Therapeutics up 22.85%. Must be some news about some drugs that they're working on, as their earnings aren't for a while. Bruker Corporation up a little over 7%, negative 5% earnings growth. Ecolab breaking out up 8.35%, massive volume on the 22% earnings increase. SB Manufacturing and Electric, they're up on 53% earnings increase, almost 9% up on the share price. Microcloud Hologram up 56%. See if I can bring up the news item where they were, why they were up today. It looks like it's no longer available on that screen. We'll have to get back to it, but it is also one of Yahoo's top stocks of the day, and their little screen. A Microcloud Hologram. Let's see if anything pops up here in the news. Plan to join Communications Industry Association. I don't think that's it. Interesting, this is a Chinese company that's developing holographic technology. It's caught the attention of the meme stock crowd with a 2,650% jump. So that's all the news we got at the moment on that one. We looked at Trip and Zoom in the other category, and that's all of our list at the moment. We'll take a look at our ETFs, financials, big pullback to below the 20-day moving average, down 2%. Energy, big pullback as well, 1.62%. Take a look at oil prices. They continue going up. It's pretty interesting. Looks like it's breaking out of that consolidation for sure. Yuko, I was thinking about yesterday, but we'll just wait one more day, see if it's worth looking into. Communications and gaps down in between the 10 and 20-day moving average. I thought about adding to Facebook Meta, but I decided against it for the moment. In utilities, yeah, there are big sell-off there under the 60. Real estate, big gap down on the earnings jumping, or not the earnings, on the yield jumping on the 10-year treasury bill. Biotech down, moves close to its 50-day moving average after going through its 10 and 20. Say on the other, biotech index crashes through its 50-day moving average. Software pull back to the 20-day moving average. Technology pulls back to the 20 as well. Infrastructure, big pullback, gap down, and in between the 10 and 20. Semiconductors pulling back, not quite to the 10-day moving average, but you can see it's kind of stretched from the 50-day moving average. Kind of expect a pullback at some point. We've been waiting one for, I guess, about a week. Jets pulling back slightly, not quite to the 10-day moving average. Out of the office, big gap down, pulls back to the 20-day moving average. Industrials, big gap down, and in between the 10 and 20 now. Healthcare sector, big strong pullback. Got a big pullback on consumer staples, close to the 200-day moving average. Building materials, yeah, we got a gap down and a close on, looks like it's going to close on its low, down 2%. Metals and mining, wouldn't think it would be doing too well under increased interest rates and strength in the dollar, and it is down quite a bit here. And our housing index is gapping down. It looks like it's trying to hold at the 10-day moving average. Take a look at Fang Yu. Pulling back to the 10-day. So let's take a look around our current holdings. We said made a mistake on SHOP. I wish I had known it was earnings before the bell. And we close this one out. And Datadog, the same thing. Although it did fight back here, which is pretty convincing. So we did reduce in Rivian. I think we had 8, we reduced it to 4. We didn't do anything with Tesla at the moment. Globe, we had 7. We just held on to one spread. See what the earnings come out in 2 days. So our core holding, Zscaler, we did put on a 250, 260 spread, just see what happens. Got a little worse since we put on that spread. We just put one of them on. And let's see, we're just going to hold here, see if it'll bounce off of the 20-day. We were looking at Crowd. It's doing a lot different than Zscaler. It initially sold off to the 20-day and then bounced up forward, only down 0.43%. Meta, said we were tempted to do something here, but we decided not to. Just going to watch it here for a day or two, see how long this sell-off continues. couple of other accounts. We have Microsoft, it gapped down, and it's down in its 20-day moving average. Since we're on the not really doing too much here, we'll take a look at the other FANG stocks at the moment. Apple pulling back to its 200-day moving average under the 185 right now. Google, it's kind of holding right at the 145. A little bit of a gap. We'll just see if it can fill that gap. Nvidia, slight pullback. Oh, a little over 1%. And Tesla, I believe we looked at it earlier. Lilly, many are saying this should be one of the big cap 7. Holding pretty strong. It's up slightly. Amazon gaps down. Right at about its 10-day moving average. We'll see if it can fill that gap and move back up. And finally, Netflix. It's pulling back slightly, but I said as long as it holds a gap up, it's okay. We'll just have to wait a couple of days. So we looked at Zscaler, we looked at Meta, Kava. Slight pullback, but it seems to be holding pretty strong. Pull back here and a bounce. ELF. Pull back to the 20-day bounce, and right now it's about a 50-day. Was at 170. It's pulled back a little bit more. We'll just kind of wait and see here. If it pulls back again to the 20-day, we may be tempted to add a little month and a half option on that. We'll continue to wait and see. MicroStrategy, pull back here. Was at 688 for a while, bounced to over 700, and now it's pulled back again. You can see Bitcoin. It's pulled back a little bit, around 2%. Ethereum, pull back around 2% as well. GitLab, we had a strong pullback, went below the 20-day moving average, and now it's bouncing here. It's back above 70. So there we have that. And I'm just trying to see if we missed anything from our core holdings. Oh yes, ESTC. Once pulled back to its 50-day, it bounced. It was up around 122. It's pulled back a little more, right around the 20-day moving average, down about 4 or 5%. And that's kind of our core holdings. We did put on a spread on ARM. I believe it was 125, 130. So we'll just kind of wait and see as time moves on if it's positive or negative. And that's to take a look at our, I guess we can take a look at DWAC. We continue to hold that. A little bit of pullback. It's getting close to the 20-day moving average. Just taking a quick look. Continue to hold on to this housing stock. Continues to perform pretty well. It's up 0.07 cents, about 7%, up 2 cents today. This is a recent IPO. Oh, yes, forgot about VRT. Spread in VRT sold off to the 20-day moving average, bounced up, and it's up about 1% for the day. So pretty interesting. Anything that is strong during a sell-off, got to continue to watch this. It's really in a tight pattern right above the 60 area. Really like it. So this is our story for the day. It's been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. It's up to you to do your own due diligence. Go out there and support your favorite taco truck. Have a great Tuesday. We'll be back here on Wednesday. Hope everybody has a great day. Continue working on your goals and your activities. And if we can help you with any financial goals or activities, please send us a comment. In the meantime, go out there and help each other and make a great day out of it.